Hey, everybody, welcome in on a Monday evening. It is the Texans Collective. Great to be with you on the heels of the Super Bowl. We're less than 24 hours removed from Super Bowl 60 last night. The Seattle Seahawks, a team that resembles the Texans in a lot of ways, but not all the ways that we need to resemble the Seattle Seahawks, for sure. We're going to talk plenty about that on the show today. But it's great to be with all of you on a Monday evening, talk some football. As always, I'm Sean Pendergast, one half of Payne and Pendergast on Sports Radio 610, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. weekdays, alongside Landry Locker, The Locker Room with Landry Locker, part of SNL as well. Reggie Atatula, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on In the Loop on Sports Radio 610, and then Cody Stutes, of course, Houston football with Cody Stutes and one half of SNL as well. Gentlemen, always great to talk. The Super Bowl last night, we'll get into how we felt about it watching it, because I think this was the first Super Bowl that I can remember watching it as acutely through a Texans lens as I have since covering the Texans, really since I got back here in 2007, but obviously more acutely since 2014 and being part of Sports Radio 610. I can't ever remember watching a Super Bowl through the lens of the Texans as closely as I did this one, because for the obvious reason, it felt like of all the years, this is the year where the Texans really could have made a run. And I think maybe been more competitive in that Super Bowl last night with the New England Patriots. But I'm curious what you guys think about that. How were you guys watching this Super Bowl last night, with not only it being the biggest sporting event of the year, but covering and rooting for the Texans as well?
The same as you. I agree with you on that. I feel like for me, I watched it and I felt like the Texans, I mean, it put in perspective how bad CJ Stroud could have played and still beat that New England team. Like for me, that was how I looked at it. I don't think they're in the same category as Seattle right now when it comes to just being a complete team, like on both sides of the rock. But that's how I watched it. And I'll be honest, like I also watched it. My thoughts and feels about CJ Stroud have changed a lot in the last month, to where I just don't know. I don't know how he would handle that big of a stage at this point. So that was kind of the way that I watched it, was the same way as you, but it all went back to the quarterback. And I just wondered, okay, even though Sam Darnold didn't need to be awesome and Drake May was horrible, would it have been much different with CJ Stroud? So that's how I watched it.
Yeah, I think I'm in a fairly similar place as you guys, where, yeah, the Texans very much could have been in the game. I didn't come out from that game thinking, oh, the Texans could have won the Super Bowl. That Seahawks team, I don't want to do team of destiny stuff because that feels like it's beyond the pale. But about midway through the season, I was like, oh, this feels like the best team in football. And ultimately, I think I was validated in that, in the way that this went, even though that's not always the way that the Super Bowl champion isn't always the best team in football, but it very much felt like that in watching it. But yeah, you saw two quarterbacks in this game, and neither of them were great. Sam Darnold was solid, and you had the run game that was capable of, making that work, and Kenneth Walker having a great game, and then of course the defense handling it. And then you saw the other side of that of Drake May not necessarily being that good and getting the pressure that ultimately broke him down. But in a very weird way, at least of what the Texans asked of CJ, this felt like two sides of the coin. What happens when you're able to manage those expectations and, take a little pressure, be able to bounce off of some of the pressure, throw the ball away when you need to, get the ball to where it needs to be, versus not being able to handle the pressure, not necessarily getting the ball in the right place, throwing a couple of interceptions, and what happens in those games. And even still, what's weird is I believe that CJ Stroud has a higher ceiling than both of the games that were played last night from quarterbacks. But it does, I still find myself in the place where, okay, how do you get to that? And that's been the question for me all the way, dating back since the Steelers game and the Patriots game. How do you get back to that? If you can get back to that, I feel great about him playing better than both of these quarterbacks played. But again, that is a question that doesn't have an easy answer right now.
My hope midday yesterday was, I want to watch this game and I want to feel like the Texans are within shouting distance of whoever wins the game. And it didn't feel that way at the end. It did for one side of the football, because I still to this day believe that this Texans defense from this season is better than the Seattle Seahawks defense. I still believe that, and I'll believe that for the rest of time. But that offense is really far away, and I felt like I was watching CJ May or Drake Stroud or whatever you want to say at different times. And I was like, oh, here we go. I'm watching a CJ game or a CJ-esque game from Drake May, where he's just holding on to the football and he's not throwing the football, or he just throws a wildly awful interception. I'm just like, and then I watch Arnold play, and I'm like, damn, it was really that easy. Just like, don't F it up. Don't F it up. And, a few weeks ago, CJ against the New England Patriots went out there and he F'd it up. And so that my hope was not fulfilled in the middle of the day, as I thought, well, hopefully at the end, I'll feel like the Texans are really close to who that Super Bowl champion is. And they were not really close when it was all said and done. Certainly not on one half of the football.
That's what I was wondering. Up in New England, I listened to some WEEI today, and I was curious, like that, the stretch. Granted, he made the Super Bowl while doing it, but the stretch that Drake May had in the playoffs here, partially because of him, partially because of the weather, partially because of the offensive line of the Patriots, to me resembled quite a bit the stretch that CJ had in the middle of the season last year, the Green Bay, Indy, New York Jets on Halloween stretch, where he just got. That was the first inkling of happy feet, CJ, was those 3 games, where you look, he had 86 passing yards or something like that in Green Bay. And in watching that game, you're like, man, I hope this isn't something that affects him. And he's been affected to some degree ever since that stretch of football. He's had his ups, he's had his downs and whatnot. That's what I was most curious about today in taking it away from the Texans for a little bit, is just, are people in New England as concerned over Drake May and the playoff run that he had? Because he was horrible in these playoffs. There's no talking around it. He put the ball on the ground a lot. He turned the ball over a lot more. He got sacked a bunch. One of the big differences between him and CJ is obviously he'll go get you 3 or 4 10-yard runs during a game, which CJ seems insistent on not doing anymore. But that's what I was most curious about, is like, okay, granted he was runner-up in the MVP race, but it was against the worst schedule that we've seen in the last however many years. And he was not good in any of these games in the postseason. It was funny in listening. The one they're pinning it on the most is Will Campbell. That poor kid is taking a beating up in Boston today.
Are we talking about on the field or off the field?
Well, yes, both. Yeah. I mean, he got his beating on the field last night, and he's getting his beating on the radio today, to the point where they're talking about, do we need to move him to left guard? I mean, this is the guy they drafted at left tackle with the 4th overall pick. Do we need to move him to left guard? So it's always it's funny to me just seeing the reaction 24 hours after something as cataclysmic as this. And if anything, it looks like maybe Drake May got CJ off of the meme list for everybody, although I still see remnants. I saw CJ in a Drake May uniform from a couple of people. But yeah, like this, in watching that game last night, the biggest thing, and it sounds like for you guys too, is like, yeah, there are a lot of similarities with Seattle and the Houston Texans. A lot. Yeah. There's a lot of, but the big thing, 2 things, CJ and the inability to run the football. Those are the 2 biggest differences.
Yeah, and I'm with you on the CJ thing. God, Collinsworth sounded disgusted. I should say Drake May. Yeah. He sounded disgusted. I look at this like I said this a couple times yesterday. I think this is more Parcells and Bledsoe than Belichick and Brady. I think Patriot fans are trying to like get ahead of themselves. I think this is kind of like more of a one-off Super Bowl appearance. But I actually think the Texans might have a better offensive line than the Patriots. And I think that's kind of crazy to say, because I don't think the Texans offensive line is great. But at this point, Will Campbell's basically Xavier Legette with better PR. Like he's just he's
you talking about his accent?
Yeah. He's just a white redneck who can't play at this point. So we'll see.
Oh, that's the best.
In year 2. But that's basically what Will Campbell is. He's been a disaster. But yeah, that O-line play sucked. And I don't know that I've seen the Texans O-line play as bad as what we saw New England play the last couple of weeks. It was kind of a weather benefit. It was like, okay, well, he's doing what he needs to do, but then perfect weather yesterday, and it looked a little bit the same.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? Talking about the left side of that offensive line, because that has been one of my favorite things to talk about all season. And I like bringing up Jared Wilson because everybody else going to say Will Campbell. I saw Jared Wilson get capital M moved right into the sack. That made me laugh. But if I spin that forward to where the Texans are, they have a number of picks. They need to get better on this offensive line. And I go, ooh, you've got to be very careful about the way you go about this, because having 2 rookies right next to each other very much looked like that all season long, or at least the majority of the season with the Patriots. And maybe you could say there was injuries happening or what have you, but that is a possibility at one of the steepest learning curves in the league for a rookie at offensive line. And so I don't think that the Texans can be cavalier and just going, we're just going to go draft 2 or 3 linemen, even though I want them to do that, and then throw them in playing next to each other and think that teams won't try and attack them in the same way that the Patriots got attacked. I think that makes it so that as they're going forward, yes, you have capital, but you have to be very smart about the way that you attribute it, especially with the offensive line.
And to add to that, Reggie, that's 3 veterans with those 2 rookies. Bradbury's played a lot of football. Their right guards played a lot of football, and Morgan Moses played a lot of football. The Texans have 2 guys that are set to start on their offensive line next year that'll essentially be in their second year playing. Ursary will literally be in his second year playing. And Jake Andrews didn't play the first 2 years of his NFL career. So he's played 1 season. So he'll be the second year playing. So if your grand draft plan is to have 2 rookies start on the offensive line, you're going to have 4 players who are playing with 2 years or less of experience on the offensive line of the NFL. And it got me a little worried along the same lines as Reggie is like, hey, maybe there's a financial investment in a veteran who's actually played some good football in the past couple of years and a rookie instead of just like, oh, let's just go get a bunch of kids and throw them out there. Because Will Campbell, he looked pathetic last night. And Wilson equally looked bad. They were right next to each other. And I'm just like, man, I wonder if you could avoid that if you're the Texans. Obviously, if you end up and you go with 2 talented young guys, like Wilson's a mid-round pick playing the wrong position. Like it's not like he's – and Campbell might be playing the wrong position too. Like if you go out there and you draft a left guard, you draft a right tackle, and you plop them in at those positions, like I'd feel a little bit better about it. But it did give me a little pause. Like every mock draft that anybody's tweeted at me is like got 5 offensive linemen in it. It's like let's cool the Jets here a little. I love the fat guys as much as anybody, but let's cool the Jets a little bit.
Would you rather draft a running back and sign an interior offensive lineman, or sign a running back and draft an interior offensive lineman?
Oh,
I don't trust them to draft yet. Like I know Ursary was a good pick, so I don't necessarily like it. The feels I get, and this is just a recency bias, but if they draft a DB, I feel like the DB is going to be good. If they draft an offensive lineman, despite the fact that the most recent example kind of played out, I don't trust it. So I guess draft an RB. It is kind of a weird class where there's one blue chipper that I know you're very familiar with, Sean, and then it's kind of like, okay, these guys could be good, round 2, round 3 guys. So it doesn't feel like it's not like one of those drafts where it's like, okay, there's multiple backs that you can really imagine in the first round. So that makes it a little bit harder to imagine, but I just don't trust them to draft offensive linemen. I haven't gotten over
to evaluate a college kid versus somebody who's got a track record like a veteran.
Their best work is done when they don't invest more. Like it's on the offensive line. It's actually kind of funny. Like Trent Brown for $3 million, up to $3 million was a good deal. Laken Tomlinson up to $5 was not. Like
Cam Robinson was 14.
Yeah, and you drafted, and I don't think Jake Andrews has played that well. Like center play has to get better. They seem to believe. I think if you can read between Caserio, what he said to y'all and EEI and Florio and stuff, they seem to believe Jake Andrews is going to be their starting center. I'm not sitting here like pounding the table. I'm just saying there's 3 offensive linemen they consistently mention through name. Caserio has basically thrown him the excuse that he was hurt. So they seem to believe that. And regardless what you feel about Jake Andrews, you drafted Jared Patterson, you drafted Juice Scruggs in the second round to go back to kind of the point. And those guys are backing up the guy that you just brought off the street that's never played football before. So it feels like less is more when it comes to the O-line with them. Hopefully that changes, though.
And I don't know how much that is less is more versus just those are the ones that happen to hit, especially with a framing where if price is lower, it feels a little bit better, whatever they give you. Yeah, I don't know that you even should trust them. I felt good that they hit on Ariante Ursary, but that does not stand up very strong against the rest of what you're seeing there. But yeah, going back to your original kind of hypothetical, whatever gives me the better offensive line, I would love to have a running back one that I know can go and create, like a Kenneth Walker, bringing it back to the Super Bowl. There was a number of plays where the yards above expectation on the play was like 24 on a 26-yard run. He was creating a lot with his patience, with his legs, and with his eyes. However, it's great if you don't have to create if your offensive line is creating gaps, And so and then not only does that help you in the run game, hey, what happens if your quarterback has all the time in the world to throw? Give me the thing that gives me the best offensive line, because the game in its essence is about blocking and tackling.
And I think that's a real astute point. My bad, Stutes. I think that's a real astute point just based on what we watch, because I think it's all there seems to be like kind of a feel that, well, the offensive line makes the running back. And I'm not saying that that's not the case, but if you watch the Texans the last 3 years, it's been really interesting because Devin Singletary made that offensive line look 100 times better than Dameon Pierce did. And Joe Mixon made it look better than whoever the hell was there. And Woody Marks made it look better than Nick Chubb did. So it's like, yeah, I'm with you, Reg, but it is kind of like one of those like tomato, chicken before egg type of things, especially when you watch the Texans and the way backs, like certain backs just make the offensive line look way better the last few years.
I'm just ready for them to invest in a offensive lineman that has had success in the past 2 seasons. Like Cam Robinson had played a tremendous amount of football the previous season. He gave up the most pressures and the most sacks in his career between 2 teams, and they gave him $14 million. Laken Tomlinson hasn't been good since Trent Williams dragged his ass to a Pro Bowl. Like, go out there and spend. Like, the Bears went and did it. The protector of the year was Joe Tooney.
Yes, it was.
They traded a 4th-round pick and then made him one of the most expensive guards in football. Like, oh, you know what? It worked. Like, you know who's been good for the past 3 seasons? Joe Tooney. Like, go sign a guy that's been good for the past few years and invest some money in him. And maybe some of that investment is like, oh, like, we'd love to bring Ed Ingram back. Ed Ingram's been good for like half a season.
Yeah.
Like, so go get somebody. I want a track record. I want a proven success. And I want you to go out there and spend that money on him. And then get lucky with the running back. Find me a running back. I know there's one guy and everybody else. Pick from somebody that's everybody else and make it happen. And maybe spend on a smaller veteran to have some options for you in there. But I would like, especially after watching young guys fail yesterday, I would like the guys that have a track record of success in the NFL to be the offensive lineman for the Texans next year.
I agree with you. I wouldn't mind finding somebody they can settle on at running back a little bit, though, as opposed to rolling the dice every offseason like it feels we're doing. And I think Joe Mixon was supposed to be that guy at least for 2 or 3 years. And whatever's happened with Mixon has happened with Mixon. But they've had 8 different guys in the last 8 years lead the team in carries. I wouldn't mind finding the guy they settle on. I think there are some good running backs out there other than Jeremiah Love.
Oh, there are.
Could get. Yeah, there's some. I mean, Jeremiah Love's teammate, Jadarian Price, might have been the 2nd best running back in college football last year. And I see a few mock drafts with the Texans taking him either 38th or 59th with one of those 2nd-round picks. I'd be totally cool with that. He can return kicks too. He's returned a few kicks for touchdowns in college, so he gives you some juice in special teams as well. So if it were me, I'd rather go veteran on the offensive line and then roll the dice with rookies, but hopefully roll the dice higher in the draft where you find a guy with a higher ceiling and you settle on somebody, as opposed to just like, all right, well, new year, new RB1.
Yeah, and it's not just RB1 for me. I just there's too many lingers at this position. It's actually kind of disgusting. For me, like the fact that Dameon Pierce hung around for 4 years, that was a joke. Dara Gimbawale, I always got to say this: if everybody maximized their potential like Dara Gimbawale, the world would have 0 underachievers. So I got to say that he still shouldn't be in the running back room for a half decade. I mean, that's insane, and it just feels like they don't go top to bottom. Like Jawar Jordan, like I thought about this with Walker. Like if Charbonnet gets hurt, does that happen? Because it seems like a lot of coaches like we all thought that Walker was the guy, and it was always like, well, Charbonnet is kind of hounding his touchdowns. Like we saw Jawar Jordan this year because Nick Chubb got hurt. So yeah, I think they need multiple running backs, and that's the thing that I'm most jealous of. And one of the things that I actually like about the Patriots, that I think is actually comparable. Like it's one thing to say like the things you like about the Patriots that are like generational types of things like Brady and Belichick and, Gronk. But like, I like how they always had multiple backs that were called upon in big games. Like, I just wish the Texans would do that. And I think Woody Marks is a good starting point. I just don't think giving him the ball 20 times and running into a wall is like the ideal thing. Like maybe try to use some of that receiving ability that he has. That was the reason that you drafted him.
Yep.
But this is where I'll lean back into the old school running backs don't matter, even though I'm very much on the side of I would like RB1 this offseason, is if we're doing priority wise, that slides a little bit to me, because as much as you're talking about, you've had 5 different dudes kind of lead the spear when it comes to running the football. I can go for a 6th if it means that you solidify one of the most central portions of your team, right? This is a zero-sum game, especially in a salary cap sport. And you got a lot of money going a lot of different places. You don't have a ton of free agent money just yet. And I know you guys are talking about like draft capital, so I'm not trying to like miss your point. But yeah, I'd rather make sure that you got not just a veteran on the offensive line, but also some young guys that can grow into it as well, because you never get past that steep learning curve if you never get the young guys in there. I think that you need to add to this offensive line exponentially, and especially because of their history, you might have to throw a few darts. Like you might have to crack a few eggs in order to get there. And I hate that being the case. But if we're not talking about changing the staff right now, that seems to be like the best way of getting it. Throw a few darts at the dartboard, see how many actually hit for 20s, and see if you can get your offensive line right, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah, of the things that you need to add to, and you have guys returning, like you need a couple starters on the offensive line. In theory, if you had to play a football game, Woody Marks could start for you. Like, it's not the most ideal situation, but the slot machine that they had of the offensive line last offseason, like you can't do that again. Like there can't be a bunch of, TJ Maxx signings and one draft pick. Like you've got to go out there and, you got to shop at the top for some of these guys and make it either multiple draft picks that you feel very strongly about, or my preference, go trade for somebody established or sign somebody established.
I felt better.
And look, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Look, nice things are expensive.
Yeah. No doubt. In listening to WEEI, not to make this all about my listening experience today post Super Bowl, but I love listening to the radio station from the losing city. It makes me feel better about our lot in life. And somebody on the show brought up that maybe they should have been rotating at left tackle.
Oh no, baby! It can't be. It can never be that bad. It can't be that bad.
I was like, I don't feel as bad about the rotating left guards in Week 6 anymore. I feel better. I feel better about the whole Lakin Tomlinson, Juice Scruggs thing going on.
To be fair, that was an idea from somebody who was on the radio. The Texans actually rotated left guards.
True.
And it
was that like 2 or 3 games?
It was
at least
a month. It's been a month rotating guards, and it was a plan from. It's a plan that the head coach publicly endorsed, because that's how those players maximize. Yeah, that's how they got the best out of those players. God. It was a plan that the offensive coordinator publicly endorsed, and I assume it's a plan that was created by the brand new offensive line coach.
I think that was where like the D'Amico has like a straw man kind of where he's like, everyone was counting us out at 0-3 and all that. And I don't really think so. Like we were talking about getting back to 5-5. Like it wasn't like nobody wanted you fired or anything like that. I think the frustration was when you were rotating these guards. Like, I think that was like where fans were just like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
To go back to what you're talking about with that. God, that was bad.
It would have made more sense if they tried to get Lakin Tomlinson and Juice Scruggs out there in one trench coat and to act like one left guard. Like that would have made more sense than what they was trying to do out here.
Or have a ladder match between the two of them where the winner gets to be the left guard. You know what I mean? Like let's get a stipulation match.
Loser leaves town match is what we're doing.
Loser leaves town, man. Yeah, like we're putting them in the ring for Booker T at Reality of Wrestling. Yes.
And then a couple of weeks into it, they just said, all right, both you guys suck. Here's Jared Patterson.
Jared Patterson came in with his Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yep.
And handed it to the ref. Like,
won a title shot, big dog.
Left guard. Ring the bell. I want to be the left guard.
That's crazy. It was crazy. The offensive line journey was a crazy journey, even though it did improve, but it was a wild ride to get there.
And you're not out of the woods. That's the thing, is like there was so much relief this year of whew, they got better. They didn't get good. Like they were not average as offensive line playing. So I think that has emboldened my urgency this year, where I can't go through another offseason like that. I gave you the benefit of the doubt last time, and what we saw for a number of weeks was incompetence on the line itself until you found something stable. Stable ain't good enough. If you want to, obviously we can lament how you were not in there for the Patriots. I think ultimately the takeaway you were watching the Super Bowl is that anybody in the AFC looked bad this year. Nobody looked like they would have given the Seahawks a really good run in that Super Bowl. And so you can't just, aspire to, we want to be the best of not great, a down year in the AFC. No, you need to aspire to being actually really good.
Yeah,
going to the Super Bowl.
I think part of that. Go ahead, Stu. It's my bad.
I don't want to make it about two teams, but the two worst offensive lines just lost the two Super Bowls. Like the Chiefs' offensive line was terrible; they lost to the Eagles. The Patriots' offensive line just lost to the Seahawks because their offensive line just fell apart in front of them, and neither quarterback. One was one of the best second-year quarterbacks we've seen in recent memory. The other one is Patrick freaking Mahomes. So like you can have it good, and then if those five guys don't show up that day. But I could even go further out, like a couple of games, and it's like Denver had a really good offensive line. They just didn't have a quarterback that day.
Yeah.
And the weather screwed them. And then the Rams have a good offensive line too. So it's like D'Amico gets up there like 10 times a year and talks about winning in the trenches, and he's got the best defensive lineman in best defensive line in football, maybe, or one of the best defensive lines. And his offensive line's over here, and it's like these guys are running into each other trying to block people the first half of the season.
And they gotta not think like I don't think improvement is something that you should really like be satisfied with, like because like to me the Trent Brown, well, you can make a case he was one of the guys that turned around the offensive line play. Like I don't even think it's hard, but that's almost like going to Vegas the first time and you automatically hit $500 on a slot, and then all of a sudden you think that the next time you go to Vegas you can drop 500 slot and it's gone in like 30 seconds. Like I don't think that like that relying on Trent Brown, we love Trent, but like I don't think relying on Trent Brown to like be your savior is like something that's sustainable for them. I think you kind of really lucked into it, and it's great. And I would be fine bringing Trent back, like similar to the same deal, but it just doesn't. It feels like they just got significantly bailed out and lucky with that.
And as much as you could say you got bailed out, wasn't he hurt at the end of this? Right? Like wasn't this kind of part of this as well? Yeah. As much as we could say it worked, this is kind of the issue, was that he was hurt all this time and then he got hurt again, right? Like you can't use found money as an excuse or as a reason as how you do things.
Oh no, it was the consequences of my own actions. Investing in a guy coming off of a serious knee injury, and then his knee didn't work at the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, and the other, like the offensive line, to me, that's the easiest thing. That's the most predictable aspect of it was of all the variables that went into last night's Super Bowl. The easiest one to handicap and forecast was the fact that the Patriots' left side of their offensive line was going to get worked. That was the easiest thing, and the Texans just need to improve. How many? If you guys had to guess. Of the O-line that started the last game, which I guess would be Ursery, left to right, Ursery, Patterson, Andrews, Ingram, Titus Howard, how many of those guys are somewhere in the starting five next year?
I think three. And Caserio, I think he said to y'all, Jared's like a fifth or sixth lineman. So if he's starting next year, then okay, buddy. Like you went, you said at the start of the offseason, he's a fifth.
That's not one of your three though, Landry.
No. I think it's Ursery. I think it's Titus. I do think the Titus approach is interesting in that I actually think, and this is always kind of a trigger word for me with Bill O'Brien. I actually think he has valuable versatility.
Yes.
I think Bill O'Brien used to like offensive linemen that were just shitty at a bunch of different things and not good at one. I think Titus, like his versatility does allow you to be a little bit flexible with guard tackle. So I don't know if they look at that as we're going to take the best tackle and then make Titus a guard or whatever, however they view it. I think the versatility is valuable. And then I think Andrews, not sitting here saying he's played good. Like we've said that there were times last year, despite him being our boy, where he wasn't worth the shit. Like we've even brought that up to him. I think that the lack of experience, stuff like that, I think that they I think they like Jake Andrews a lot. So
hopefully in different terms.
Did you word it that way with him? Did you say like, hey Jake, we know you're not worth a shit?
No, I said I said yeah, the center play hasn't I've said that the center play hasn't been good. Is that fair?
Oh, so, okay.
I've said that the center play hasn't been good. It needs to be better. Is that fair?
And then Andrews
wouldn't care if I cuss though.
Yeah. And then Andrews talked about his performance like it was the worst performance ever, and I was like, okay, maybe we're a little critical here.
Oh, okay. So he was with you guys on that.
Yeah, he scared Cody too, because Cody requested to talk to Cole Popovich earlier in the year after the shuffle, and then they went on the win streak, and that request just kind of went away. So I told Andrews to go up to him and just tell him to quit duck and pop. And he's like, I need context. And I told him. And instead of just saying it, he bumps Stoots with his arm and goes, hey, quit duck and pop. And Stoots for a second thought he was serious.
It's like, yeah.
To answer your question, I think it's 3. If I had my wish, it'd be 2.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned the versatility because it comes back to one of my favorite things to bring up. Everybody likes calling folks Swiss Army knives. Do you ever reach for a Swiss Army knife if you actually want to do any of the prescribed things? Like it's just a whole bunch of shitty tasks. It's a useless piece of scissors. It's a really shitty knife. It's a kind of half-ass corkscrew. Like it really is like
There's like an emery board in there.
yeah, they suck for the most part. I don't think that he's a Swiss Army knife, right? I think that he does have good value, but I would say it does very much feel to me like he is much better at guard than he is at tackle right now. That's something I would prioritize that. Now, if you need him to play tackle, I think that's great. He can very much meet the task at that. It feels very much like he's a better guard than he is a tackle, and I would love if they handled it that way. But then again, that in my mind, if it goes the way I want, it's 2 linemen that remain, and both of them are playing on the left side, which means the entire right side of your offensive line is new. And here I come back thinking, do you end up with Will Campbell and Jared Wilson at some point?
Yeah. New would be okay if one of them was a proven commodity, though.
Sure.
Like it'd be different starting 2 rookies over there. I agree with everybody. It's 3. I would like someone who possesses the ability to challenge Andrews for his spot to be in the building. Certainly understand that aspect of it. And I would play Titus at left guard or right guard. And then I would draft a guard depending on what they played in college. I'd play them at that spot. And then I would draft a tackle or sign a tackle. I haven't looked at the free agency for offensive linemen yet. Whichever there's more juice there, spend the money there. Like don't get into some bidding war on some crappy right tackle just because he's the only right tackle available.
Yep.
You know, trust another Ursary. And then that's one more thing I will say that I don't think we mentioned yet. Campbell being as bad as he was, like I do not believe end of season Ariante Ursary would have been treated like that.
No,
Like, I feel strongly that Ursary settled in nicely over the course of the season.
Yes.
And had a really nice finish to his season. And that's something that I'm very excited about with the offensive line going forward is, okay, they went from Laramie Tunsil to a rookie, and it feels like at the very least the next 2 seasons are cost-controlled, inexpensive left tackle play because Ursary played really well this year.
Who seems super motivated to get better, who seems to fit the culture of the room they're looking for, in addition to being a very talented kid.
And it's
all of those things.
And it's not just words. Like I brought this up and I asked someone who would know, like if my eyes were lying to me or not. But between minicamp and training camp, his body kind of transformed. Like he trimmed a lot of fat. Like I don't know if it's that typically that happens like maybe between season 1 and season 2. But whatever Ursary was doing and whatever happened between minicamp and training camp, like you could tell that he was putting that work in. He's also kind of an old soul. He thinks people are wasting their lives away when they're on their phones. So I kind of admire that a little bit.
Wow, dude, I feel like that was on his scouting report if he's a Houston Texan right now. That's wild. And by the way, Reggie, your point about the Swiss Army. I mean, this is why Switzerland doesn't take over the world. That's their main weapon is a fucking pocket knife with a corkscrew in it. Like, I'm the Swiss Army. I'm embarrassed by that.
That's why they got into bank and they were like, "Hey, man, ain't nobody messing with money."
That's why they're neutral on everything. Like, we don't want to get into a fight with anybody. Our best weapon is an emery board.
I have a proposal. From now on, let's the 4 of us who have voices. From now on, instead of Swiss Army knife, just say it's like an air fryer. Like he's like an air fryer.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Like an air fryer or something like that can do a lot of things.
All
so
right,
I'm with you on the
pinky swearing with all of you right now.
I feel like this looks weird. I feel like this, but I'm here.
Okay, cool. Hey, Cody, you want to tell the people about Prize Picks?
I do. Let's talk about Prize Picks Daily Fantasy. I know football season's over, but there's still sports every day, and you can still play daily fantasy each and every day. We were not successful here at the Super Bowl.
What else is new?
Yeah, we were not successful. Drake May didn't run enough. Ramondre Stevenson didn't run enough. Kenneth Walker got totally boned on a holding call.
Yeah.
But Landry tossed in too, and Landry nailed both of his, Travion Henderson and AJ
So
Barnes.
the only green
Look at this
stripes are
tryhard.
Landry right there. Landry's the only one doing heavy lifting.
Yep. He did a great
Yeah.
job.
Sorry, Landry.
The rest
Dude.
of us did not.
It's all good. I had Barner first touchdown too, and I was like, I had to look up and be like, oh yeah, they've scored 15 points, but they haven't scored a touchdown yet. So
Yeah.
So we go from daily fantasy with yards and touchdowns and more or less of that to basketball, points,
Yes.
rebounds, assists, so many other various things that you can do. You can still put lineups together with our friends at Prize Picks. Baseball's right around the corner. If you like hockey, you can do that on Prize Picks as well. And you put in a couple of selections, the 3 selections, couple of different teams, and sometimes you 5, 10, 20 times your entry with our friends at Prize Picks. Use that code Texans when you get signed up. Texans, and we'll still put them in over on the community page. So make sure you're following the page. Make sure you're following us here on YouTube. And right there on the community page, we'll have our entry each and every week. And when you sign up, use that code Texans. Play your first 5, get $50 in free lineups headed your way. Use the code Texans when you sign up at Prize Picks.
Did we at least win
Fade the collective.
Did we? Well, yeah. Did we at least win the Drake May max discount square they had, where he just needed 1 passing yard? That would be nice.
well,
Yeah.
He had 295 yards. I was so pissed that he wound up with 295 yards in that game.
that was the worst mop up duty. That
Oh,
was so. Yeah, and that's where someone looks back and is like, it wasn't that bad. Like if you don't actually watch the team like 3 years, you look, well, he actually it wasn't that bad. He had like 300 yards. It's like, no,
dude, he missed a lot of bunnies in that game. Like,
Collinsworth was disgusted.
Yeah.
Disgusted.
This is why certain analytics are useful. He had a QBR of 16.3.
Yep.
They were like, he was not good at all.
Not at all.
Well, Reggie, I feel like you might know. Off the top of your head, do you remember what CJ's was in the Patriots game?
Oh, I can't remember, but I'll find it real quick. I got you.
Okay, because I got to imagine CJ's QBR was in the neighborhood of that.
Yeah, I am. certain
QBR,
about that.
I know QBR is ESPN's proprietary stat. You 0 to 100. I had heard somebody say basically what it is it's the percentage chance that your team wins the game playing the way you're playing in that game.
Ooh, I like that. So there was a
16.3,
22.2%
Drake
chance
May
that the Texans
quarterback
win.
team would have won the game 16.3% of the time the way he played.
And a 22.2 for the Texans in that Patriots game. With CJ
Oh
Stroud.
my God, CJ was smoking him in that game.
Yeah, he was. I mean, come on, way better than.
22.2. Yeah.
I'm sure that makes everybody feel better right
That's
now.
pretty bad though. If you're Drake May and you had a worse QBR than CJ Stroud's game where he got memed by the world afterwards.
His EPA per dropback was literally the second worst in the NFL history for Super Bowls. Like we had not seen. You remember Rex Grossman in that Super Bowl?
I do.
Better EPA per dropback.
No way.
than that.
I was in Chicago.
Yes.
I remember it well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was MALO bad. Shout out to our Spanish speakers.
I can't wait to see what haircut Drake May gets.
Yeah. Yeah.
The high and tight. That's what I feel like when white guys want to get serious. It's the high and tight.
He needs to go he needs to go road. Him and Will Campbell should do the Road Warriors. One of them should do the 2. And then Campbell should have the 1.
Yes.
And then they can both bounce back with their hair.
The Legion of Doom. Yes. All right. Are you guys sad as we shift out of our Prize Picks? Download Prize Picks. Use the code Texans. We always love that. But we haven't talked about CJ really exclusively yet, and we've got on the menu right there. Can Stroud Darnold it? Are you sad that we didn't have a show the day that CJ's haircut became an A-list story? How much time would we have spent on CJ's haircut on the
Probably the whole show, honestly. I think
Texans Collective?
the whole show, dude.
It's not nothing. It's not nothing.
It's go ahead, Reggie.
It's not nothing. I just don't know what it is. That's the problem. It's one of those things that we will imbue with meaning on the backside of it, right? Whether it works or it doesn't. We will come back and we will look at it as my guy Cam Newton says, because hindsight is 50-50. We're going to come back and we're going to look at it and we're going to go, oh, that meant this. And in the meantime, we're just going to have to guess. That's what we're going to have to do.
And it will. I think it is a thing because we knew he was going through a big mental struggle. Like he became the joke of the internet. There were like there's memes, and then you get the haircut. And a lot of times when you're going through tough mental times, a significant change is big. I did get a kick out of people saying it's not a big deal. trust me, if you grow out your hair for 6 years or 7 years or whatever, and you get a haircut, it's not just a small deal. It's not like me going to freaking Sports Clips and clip. It's a big, big, big thing. Some people cry when they do that, if they grow the locks long enough and do that. So it was a big deal for him. It was also, obviously, he's going through what he's going through mentally, so it's a big change. So yeah, we'll see what. I don't think he's like gonna be awesome or suck because of his haircut, but it's definitely a big thing. The most notorious mental haircut thing, I think you were actually for Halloween one time, Sean, was Britney Spears. Britney Spears.
Oh yeah, no, that got brought. You know who brought that up to me when we were talking about it on the show that morning was Sarah Fraser. She brought it up because she texted when we were talking about it. She was driving in and she said, "No, this is a big deal."
Yeah.
And then she said, she cut she's got a beautiful head of hair. She cut all her hair off when she got divorced back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, she cut it all off when she got divorced. So symbolically, and then she brought up Britney Spears. And I said, yeah, I remember playing bald Britney Spears on Halloween with my green umbrella and my gray hoodie and my tidy white shorts that she had on. And she wore much better than I did. Painted
I don't believe that.
the horrible eyeshadow dripping down because of all the tears. Yeah, man.
But here's the thing, though. The only thing that did, because I think you're right, the big cuts are often very important. Shout out to Jonathan Alexander, who actually got a interview with or maybe it was Matt Young of the Chronicle, I believe. They got an interview with his barber, and the only thing that gave me pause on that was his barber said that he had been saying it all the time. Actually, pulling the trigger still means something, but maybe he had been toying with this for a number of years, and then ultimately he was like, all right, let's go.
I mean, I'm waiting for the middle of the second quarter of the first game where I'm like, so much for the haircut. Like that's what I'm worried about.
Also, it feels like we're not going to have the actual answer on CJ till we get to January next year, right? Like as much as if he comes out and he commands the offense, 100%. How many of us are going to be like, cool, we got it, we're done here? Like I don't think that's how this is going to go.
No,
that's probably the problem of when the issues happen with CJ Stroud is until he does it in the playoffs, I'll be sitting around in the back of my head because of what happened in this run in the playoffs, thinking, yeah, that's cool. You beat this team or that team, or obviously they beat. I mean, in the regular season 2 years ago, beat Buffalo. Like that was a good Buffalo team. Like, cool. Do the playoffs, because when you got to the playoffs this year, you played half a bad game in Pittsburgh, nearly cost them the game, and then you did cost them the game the following week. So
yeah, you did ask, can CJ Stroud Darnold it? And that brought to mind Kalen Kaler of ESPN wrote a piece about Darnold and his resurgence. And interestingly enough, guess whose name came up, and not in the way you would think. So Sam Darnold was talking about in 2024 about himself. He said, quote, and it's a segment that I like to call reading, quote, just consistency in the organization and trusting it too. If things don't go well, which having a rookie quarterback, they're not all going to be CJ Stroud. You're not just going to go out there and ball out. It takes a real special coach and leadership to be able to have trust and keep everything together for at least a couple of years. Let the kid grow into his skin. After a couple of years, everything is the same, and you have the same people, GM, what have you. So that level, it's so hilarious to read that, because one, it's like, well, not everybody's gonna be CJ Stroud, and here we are with CJ Stroud. Yeah. And then also the credit that's being given there is consistency with GM and coaches, and then to some degree that also feels like an odd undercurrent of what's happening with CJ here as well.
Yeah, they didn't change much around him. Like it's the same offensive coordinator, which, by the way, the winning offensive coordinator is a head coach now of the Super Bowl team. Like he took over another organization. I don't know. Can I get odds on Nick Caley being a head coach next year? Probably not going to be
off the board, big dog. Off the board.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, probably not made it to the board yet. They didn't change the quarterback. I mean, all they swapped out was a freaking tight end coach. So it's like, yeah, the consistency is great. But did the consistency lead to the situation you're in? That's another question we'll have to kind of figure out, because I got to imagine it's, unless Gerard Johnson gets the job as the Seahawks offensive coordinator, he's probably the quarterback's coach again.
Yeah.
So the consistency and keeping stuff the same around from a coaching staff standpoint, like they swapped out the players. Like the players have been changed out. They had a whole new wide receiver room, a whole new offensive line for the most part. New running backs this year. They didn't change the coaching staff. Like they changed the offensive coordinator. The O-line coach is different, but the QB coach, the offensive old guy that sits in the corner that's been through all this, Bill Lazor, he's still there. Like, they didn't change any of that. And they didn't change any of that when the new OC came in. They didn't change anything after a bad season. So
what did you call Bill Lazor? What's his title?
The
old
offensive old guy that sits over there, I believe, is what I heard.
yeah, the offensive old guy that's been through it all. Like
The OGITC, the old guy in the corner.
Which I have been asking who is their OG, and it is weird that Bill Lazor, who's never had an offense that's particularly interesting to me, is that guy that's supposed to be the wealth of knowledge in this. Like, that's one of those things that has been plaguing the Texans. To give our shout out to our Rockets collective, has been plaguing the Rockets. What is it with these Houston teams and not having somebody with the level of OG status to hit them the game or whatever?
I don't know what Bill Lazor is or anything like that. Like, I don't even know that. I don't even know where he is in practice. Like, I don't know that. I'm not looking for him, but I don't know what he is or what he does or anything like that. So it's weird. I do think though there is kind of a change. I think King Cole. I think Popovich might have a little bit more power than we think. Like, it seems like all these guys that they bring in, they have ties to Popovich, and he's able to bring in like his offensive linemen. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's much like when we were talking last year about CJ and more control at the line of scrimmage. And I said, I don't know if that's good, bad. I have no idea. But it does feel like there's probably a little bit more Popovich influence. Maybe that helps during the draft. Who knows? But it does feel like that's kind of someone that Nick Caley relies on. And it seems like they let him bring in some guys that he has ties to. Those low-level assistant gigs got filled by guys connected with him.
You did mention, right, Cole Popovich and his possible effect. And as I tried to find various different founts of hopium for the offensive line and their struggles in picking these players up. Yes, founts of hopium. Yeah, write that one down. How much of this do we then also look at the coaches and their ability to develop offensive linemen? Because historically, or at least during the Caserio times, have you had a coaching staff that you felt like could make the best out of any of these players that come in? And how does that track with Popovich there? Because it does feel like you saw a clear fundamental uptick in this offensive line with him. And how much does whoever you draft just getting in the program with Cole look a lot different than some of the other guys who Juice and those guys who had to go through it with your Strasser and whoever?
They hate Juice, so I don't think that they'll ever have Juice do anything like that. Their entire existence was avoiding playing Blake Fisher, except on tackle eligible plays and Juice Scruggs. So I don't know that Juice will. Juice is quite their cup of tea. But yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's not like we did see Ariante Ursary get better. We saw Titus Howard kind of find his groove. So maybe they do have someone who can actually develop the offensive lineman. It's unfair for me to bring up past offensive line failures because it's a different guy in charge.
I could soundly put the failures of the guys that didn't work on the offensive line on the general manager picking the wrong guy. Like Thomason just wasn't the dude. Cam Robinson just wasn't the dude. I could also soundly put the two, I think, most impressive performances, like guy that's basically never played in the NFL as your starting center for most of the year, does enough on a week-to-week basis. And then a left tackle at a rookie left tackle holds it down all year long for you at left tackle. Like, that's a good job by whoever's coaching them, Cole Popovich, Kaylee, the combo of all of them, whatever. And then, like, Cole, Jesus couldn't have made Laken Tomlinson a good left guard last year. So, I mean, they could have got Dante Scarnecchia, the offensive line guru that he is. He could have been the coach. He wasn't getting Laken Tomlinson to block guys.
Dante Scarnecchia, or as I like to call him, O-line Jesus.
By the
way, yes.
By the way, you can maybe say Andrews too, but Laken Tomlinson was the one guy who was literally handed his starting spot. And that's also crazy, like going back to what it was. Andrews was pretty much the guy from the beginning, so you can say that too. I don't think we look at that and say that was a massive mistake, regardless of how you feel about center, whatever. But Laken Tomlinson was literally handed his left guard spot, and there were no questions asked.
Yeah. Well, no,
he had just been discarded by the Seattle Seahawks, who, hey, look, when they refigured their old line, they won a Super Bowl. Who knows?
Yeah, they replaced him with Gray Zabel.
That's right.
Who's going to be there for 12 years. And I guess that's that's a good lead in probably to the last topic that we had. I feel like the one on the bottom, Super Bowl through the Texans lenses, we've been kind of hitting that throughout the show. But the plan to make the Texans Super Bowl contenders, we've probably touched on that a little bit too, but just to kind of solidify and frame it, if you guys are prioritizing here, as we're here now, we're in the off season, we're 4 weeks away to the day from free agency when they can start tampering with guys and whatnot. What's the shopping list look like for you guys right now?
Well, first of all, it's very encouraging that they have a lot of day 2 ammo, because they're very good at day 2. Like very, very good at day 2. They went into the draft 2 years ago to improve the secondary. They did so. They got 2 Pro Bowlers, and I'm going to call them Pro Bowlers, not fill-ins, because I think they both could have easily been Pro Bowlers in just initially. They did that. Offense, I think they did a good job of addressing that. You got to see the continued progression of Higgins and Knoll, but I thought they did a good job at that. So day 2, you got to feel good. They need running backs, they need offensive line, they need tight ends. Tight ends doesn't get talked about enough, but the tight end position on the Texans is really, really bad. And it sounds like Dalton Schultz is going to be back. That's fine. It's essentially 3 straight years of a franchise tag, which is cool. Whatever. Like, he didn't get great years, but essentially they franchise tagged him 3 straight years, whatever the price was when he first signed the deal. But the tight end depth has to be better. Like, Cade Stover at this point, this version of Cade Stover should be someone on your practice squad, maybe trying to be active. Now, maybe Cade Stover comes in next year and he looks completely better, but right now the guy's not good. He's not good at all. He can't catch. He can't block.
Can't stay healthy. Can't stay healthy.
Can't stay healthy. Like, he doesn't do anything well. Brevin Jordan, look, when you've had 2 make or break seasons and both of those seasons have ended in injury, that's probably not a great recipe for success, no matter how much we like the guy and stuff. They've got to improve their tight end depth. They've got to improve their running backs. I think they're fine at receiver. And then we've talked about the offensive line a lot, but they got to basically take day 2 and they got to improve those areas. The way in which they've improved areas in day 2, the last 2 drafts.
I'm glad you mentioned tight end, because that's a spot that I have almost felt resigned, because they have contracts on 3 dudes there, and because they have such a fascination with the potential that Cade Stover has, and then the possibility that you actually get the athleticism of Brevin Jordan. But if they do add there, that would be huge, right? Because I found it interesting that Dalton Schultz, sitting down with The Drive on Sports Radio 610, mentioned that they had a lot of time on task with multi-tight end sets, and you got literally 0 of the benefit. And I mean, I'm not going to retract any of the things that I've felt about Nick Caley generally, but I did wonder how much of his playbook did he just have to throw into the garbage through a majority of the season, because he was hoping on the effects with multiple tight ends, which we saw as one of the trends this year in the league. The Rams being one of the chief purveyors of that, getting out here in 12 and 13 personnel a good amount of times. How much of that was there? I don't know that you can go on just the hope that Brevin Jordan actually makes it to the season this time, or that, Cole, or rather not Cole Popovich. What am I doing there?
Cade Stover.
That Cade Stover ultimately puts it all together finally. I start to worry, am I then putting up too many things that I need them to do, because it's a zero-sum game? You don't have a lot of money going into this offseason. You do have draft capital, but how many things can you answer? So if I'm stacking it, I'm like, big piece in the middle on the offensive line, put some more pieces around it, answer at running back, and we will try and figure out the remainder. Hopefully get some depth also when we talk about the secondary. I know that you were able to make that happen, but you saw what happened when Kamari had to sit down, and I actually liked Tremont Smith, and even then I'm like, this can't be it for the entirety of the season again. Yeah, I see the face. I get it. I'll be the one out here, but I actually liked him. And it took me some time to come around, but you definitely need depth.
I think Jalen Smith is that guy. He's essentially, they traded up for him, so I think Jalen Smith is the guy that they hope can add some of that depth. So I guess it's kind of like an addition, Jalen Smith, and they do have the benefit of the doubt when it comes to DBs. But I'm with you. This was not a deep team. Like the places where they're the most thin, they didn't really have a lot of injury problems. And even when we saw Aziz miss a game, and it was like, oh, they really missed Aziz. Yes, they did. I think he could get it. But does that say as much about Henry To'oTo'o as it does Aziz? Like, they're kind of thin at linebacker, and they were thin at although EJ Speed did all right.
And they're not young at linebacker either. Like they're getting up there at linebacker. That's a good point. Damn, we're adding to the list.
Come on down, Jacob Rodriguez. Let's go. Texas.
Oh, yeah, I love
seen that
that.
Come
one.
on down. Let's go. Let's go. Outside of the additions, I think two of the most important things, if we're talking about like, hey, let's go to the next level. It's just two pieces of the organization that just have to be better than they were last year. One's Nick Caley, and the players will help make Nick Caley better. Like if he has better offensive line, if he has more options at tight end, if the running back room is better, if the wide receivers progress, like that'll naturally make Nick Caley better, but he's also got to be better. And then the biggest thing is something that's not an addition. It's just CJ Stroud's got to be a better football player. Like he's got to be a better football player, less mistakes, more playmaking. Like they could build the best 52-man roster in football. And if the 53rd person is CJ Stroud shitting his pants every Sunday, they're not going to be a very good football team.
No. Yeah, that's true. The previous 57 minutes that we've been talking don't mean shit if CJ doesn't play better. He basically just nullifies all these great ideas that we just had. I'm with you. On the defensive side, like people bring up the draft capital and they've got 4 picks in the top 68 or whatever, 3 in the top 59. Then you look at all these mock drafts and it's like guard, tackle, running back, tackle, guard. I would not mind seeing them use one of those picks on some sort of ass kicker on the defensive side of the ball.
They are.
Ooh, interior defensive line.
Interior defensive line.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
D'Amico's getting his D lineman, and that's kind of how I look at it. Like, because they have been so good on day 2, I almost look at it as like a swing for the fence. Like for me, the name that always comes up when me and Stutz are talking draft is Lee Hunter. I think Lee Hunter would be an absolute mofo on this team. Like, I think it would be, and I also think that D'Amico wants a D tackle. So I'm with you there. He's doing it. Like he's taking a DT this year. Like whether like no matter what anyone says, that he's going DT. Like he's
Athletic did a 3-round mock today, and they had Hunter going to them with that 38 with that Tunsil pick.
You have one interior D lineman that's probably has like a perhaps long-term sustainability in Tommy Togiai. By the way, good job getting him done quick. I think he might have been able to get a little bit more money. But and then outside of that, like there's talk about Rankins, you bring him back or whatever, but you need to get younger there. You might need to get a linebacker. I don't know. I saw a mock that had like Sonny Styles going 25, and I was like, okay, like that would be linebacker out of Ohio State. But I don't. D'Amico's getting his ass kicker on the D line this year.
I could see Caserio torpedoing the draft party again this year and moving, somebody looking to move back into the back end of the first round for some reason.
Oh yeah.
And him picking up an extra, a 2 next year or 3, something to move back from 28 to, 40 or something. Like I could totally see that happening.
And as we talk about the switching and swapping and the changing that they've had at various positions, like it'd be nice to put like some names on the depth chart for a few seasons, like Aziz last year of his contract, Henry To'oTo'o last year of his contract, Tommy Togiai got potential last year of his contract, Mario Edwards Jr. last year of his contract.
Neil Hunter
last year of his contract. Like Stingley's good to go, and we know Will Anderson's going to get paid, and we know you got 2 more years of Kamari Lassiter and Kalen Bullock, and Petrie's locked up. But everybody else is pretty much out of here at the end of the year unless something changes. Yeah. So, adding some, they don't even have to be tentpole pieces, just adding some bricks to this defense that is the engine of their success right now. Yep. Like that would be, especially if you added them via the draft and they're cost controlled and cheaper for the next few seasons when you're about to spend a bunch of money and maybe have to go look for a quarterback if it doesn't work out with CJ and so on and so forth. So getting some bricks in the defense that are long-term solutions, that's certainly something that they should look into doing with the draft picks.
All right, boys. Well, this was fun as always on a Monday night. Always enjoy doing this. And a reminder to everybody, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and keep following the Texans Collective as we go through this journey here of the offseason, one of the biggest off seasons in the history of the team, considering how close we felt they were this past season. Download Prize Picks and use that code Texans, as you can see at the bottom of the screen right there. You'll get $50 in bonus lineups instantly just by playing a $5 lineup. Football season's over, but basketball, baseball's coming up, hockey, anything, any sport with a stat they've got on Prize Picks.
Olympics.
Olympics
y'all
on
want to go
there?
Olympics prize
Oh
picking?
God. Oh man, I'm gonna be up so late.
I'm in.
Oh.
All right, we Friday Olympic prize picking. Olympic prize picking.
I'm in.
Yeah,
Let's do it. I'm with it.
Let's do one, Cody, on the show page.
I'm doing biathlon. My pick is
Yes.
How did biathlon end
doing
up
curling.
as skiing and shooting? How did that happen?
I don't know. I don't even know what the biathlon was. I'll be honest with you.
It's the one where they ski and shoot.
Yeah,
Now
I
you
like
know.
curling. I was watching curling at my local watering hole
On the
today.
TV
It was
right
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you in that local watering hole, man.
Yeah, and I don't never get an invite neither. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, that's
No invite needed, man. Just show up.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
just show up. He'll be there. He's like normal.
Yeah.
Are y'all lagged from Super Bowl? Have y'all recovered?
Oh yeah, it was actually really easy. Why the hell does San Francisco close at 9?
It does.
Like everything shuts down at 9.
Yeah.
That was so disappointing for me.
Yeah.
I was planning on being sleep deprived because I was up late. Nope, 9 p.m. You out of there.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
very
it was really weird.
I did not
It
know
was
that.
good. It was good. I give San Francisco a solid B+. It was
I heard the logistics though for like media day and stuff were a little bit
horrible.
Yeah,
I didn't go to any of it. I know Reggie, you went to opening night.
Went to
The
both.
old
Went to the media party and opening night. It's a
Yeah.
good hour and away. That whole Bay Area thing of San Jose, they can't call themselves the San Francisco 49ers anymore. I don't care. Man.
Right.
That's so far away. Which did make me start thinking, right? Because it felt very much like what happens if the Texans somehow put their stadium in the Woodlands, which
Could happen.
You know something?
I actually support it. I've actually been pushing for this. I've been pushing for Woodlands or Katy or something like that because I think it would pressure to get the roads better and stuff. I think that whole downtown area and the NRG, I think they've dropped the ball logistically. So I would be okay with it.
Landry's about the bigger picture for the city of Houston.
Just
The best,
big pick, man.
the greater good. The roads up to the Woodlands.
Yeah.
let me find out you're here for public transit. I like it. Let's do it.
Yes.
I can't make too many promises, but
Is that why you're always wearing this suit? You about to get into local office? Let's go.
that's a hell no. That is a hell no.
A vote for lockers, a vote for a stadium in the suburbs.
Landry
That'll
Locker,
get you votes.
and I approve this message. Yes. All right, boys. This was fun as always. We appreciate everybody in the chat.
You brother. That
What's
was
that?
way easy for you to slander my campaign like that, man. That was
Me?
way easy. Yes. Stoots, I don't know how that just came off the top of your head. You ruined my campaign in 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's I. Who do you think's helping you get elected? I'm going to be the freaking campaign manager.
That's
I got to
true.
know the negatives.
That's true.
I got to know the negatives while you go out there and espouse the positives. I'm going to fix the roads.
Right.
No more hookers on Bissonnet.
Yeah.
Wait. Hold on. Wait.
Don't you dare take the hookers
Come
off.
on
And
now.
by the way, Reggie.
Oh yeah. Now more Sunday fun day for the hoes. That's the beauty of it. Yeah.
I love all you had to do was say your name for that.
Mhm,
Hey, Reggie, yeah. More
Oh,
Sunday
hoes
fun.
always on my mind.
Oh,
Always.
yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. All right, we're done. Landry Locker, the locker room. You on 10:30 tonight, Landry?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There it is. Landry Locker, the locker room at SNL. Reggie Atatula, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on In Loop, Sports Radio 610. You can hear it on the free Odyssey app. And Cody Stoots, of course, Houston football with Cody Stoots and SNL as well. Are you guys on the road anytime soon or season over, appearances over?
Spanky's the 20th. We're working on some stuff for the biggest draft party perhaps ever, the Saturday gathering.
Cool.
And then we have we're going to the NFL Combine for a week.
Yeah. You
nice.
guys will be in Indianapolis. Okay, great. That'll be awesome. Looking forward to the coverage of that. All right, good stuff. You guys do an awesome job. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Of course, you can hear me at 6 a.m. tomorrow on Sports Radio 610, one half of Payne and Pendergast. So appreciate all of you. Have a great night. Offseason is here. Let's go. And let's end stream.